Achieving Immortality, Alpine Style, by J. Paul, Utah State University. Imagine this for a moment. You're in a foreign country, 7,500 meters up on the north face of a godforsaken mountain, being blasted by a blizzard and working on a 200-meter vertical line of ice and rock. Your turn to belay your partner is over, and you have to go on lead. Arms numb, you pick up your ice tools, grab a few cams and pitons, and start the ascent to where you'll spend the night in bivouac. Most people would look at this situation, laugh, and say they would never come close to that. Alpine climbers, such as myself, look at that as a gift. To be on an unclimbed face in the middle of a storm, knowing no one has ever been where you're standing before, makes our adrenaline pump and our hearts race. The reason? Because even though some people say that we won't, we know that at least among our fellow climbers, we will be remembered. Alpinists such as Uli Steck and Reinhold Messner live on long after they're gone, primarily because of the feats of mountaineering they accomplish in their lives. Uli Steck received a Piolet d'Or for his 2013 solo ascent of the south face of Annapurna in 28 hours, as well as being the first alpinist to link up the three major north faces in the Alps in under 24 hours, and also holds numerous speed records on the Eiger and on the Matterhorn. Reinhold Messner takes Steck's level of badassery and multiplies it by about 100. He's the first man to solo a 27,000-foot peak, traversed Nanga Parbat, soloed the north face of Everest without supplemental oxygen in 4 days, and even connected Geisherbrum 1 and 2 without stopping to take a break. Oh, and in his spare time he served in the Italian parliament. Anyone who could possibly say these men won't be remembered after they're dead is basically a psychotic nutjob. Doing alpine climbs that are extremely sketchy almost guarantees your space and world history. Lots of people think that there aren't any new mountains to climb and that all of the important routes have been done. However, climbers are constantly exploring the limits of what's possible, whether it's free soloing like Honnold or speed climbing like Steck. There's always something for you to climb. Annapurna has been summited numerous times, yet Uli Steck received one of the Piolets d'Or for soloing the south face. El Capitan had been climbed an infinite amount of times before Alex Honnold free soloed it. Regardless of what people think, there's always going to be mountains to climb and variations that will help distinguish the last generation from the next. Most alpinist ascents aren't recognized as they're often repeats of the same routes others have done before. However, once a year in Chamonix, France, a committee of judges selects a few extraordinary routes to be honored with alpinism's greatest honor, the Piolet d'Or. Piolet is a French word for ice axe, a tool every alpinist becomes intimately familiar with and something that helps guarantee safe passage on high peaks. This symbol of safety and familiarity is used as a symbol to congratulate the greatest ascents of year, giving alpinists that otherwise may not get the credit, honor, and privilege that goes along with risking it all for the sake of a mountain. Perhaps the most interesting way people find their way to the summit on Mount Everest is by keeping track of the dead bodies they pass. They can recite the names, the elevations, and what color the bodies are wearing almost from memory, because these fallen climbers have become wardens of the mountains, guiding travelers to and from their goal. By dying on mountains, climbers are remembered for much more than their lives. They're also remembered for their deaths. Even after a climber dies, there's a very good chance he will be remembered and honored by many, many people, which is one of the primary benefits of the climbing community. We all share the same passion, and we become very close friends with our fellow devotees. Death allows us to remember the best about a person, and in a climber, death immortalizes them in remembrance forever and ever. Take, for example, the avalanche that killed 13 Sherpa on Mount Everest last week. Numerous acts are being done right now to try and preserve their legacy and make it so that they have a future for their families. Obviously, climbers as a community will be sure to remember these Sherpa and their sacrifice just as we remember the guardians of the mountain and their sacrifice. Immortality, living forever and never dying, may be impossible to literally pull off, short of finding Shangri-La on a Himalayan expedition. However, by completing great feats of climbing, we remember alpinists. By becoming friends with other climbers, we remember them. By mentoring, guiding, and even dying, we remember great alpinists. Awards and ribbons like the Piolet d'Or help us recall specific feats, but ultimately, what allows us to remember fellow climbers and alpinists is the memories they impart on us in life. Regardless of the fact that people think there's no more great mountains to summit, climbers continue to amaze the world by pulling off amazing feats of alpinism, showing that there will always be a future for mountain climbing.